Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm decided to do a little series on some assets in the Unity Asset Store because there's a big mega bundle going on right now while I'm filming this. And so I went ahead and purchased it because it had a lot of great assets in it. And I decided to go ahead and break some of them down and take a look at all the assets in the bundle and see what's great, what's maybe not so great. And so behind me, you can see some pieces of the assets I'm going to be looking at in this episode. So let's jump right into it. So here we are on the mega bundle sale. All right, so the first thing I wanted to look at was vault inventory. So this one we're not going to look at in detail because if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it says the vault inventory system requires mirror to function. So what is mirror? Mirror is a networking solution, an online networking solution. Highly recommended for people who know how to do it. And it's a free thing to use, and it's kind of user managed if I'm not mistaken, but I believe you have to host it yourself on your own server, and there's just a lot to that. And I've never used Mirror before, so we're not gonna be able to test out Vault Inventory, although it looks really cool. All right, so let's go back, and there's better UI. Now, I feel like I'm pretty good with UI, but I'm not an artist, so my UI will work, but not always look very great. But I'm getting very comfortable with the UI's inventories input system. All right, so let's just do a look at better UI. So let's see what's the big selling points here for better UI. And let's check out their documentation, see if it looks good. Oh, good. Yeah, it looks like a really detailed documentation. All right, very nice. Okay, so let's take a look at better UI. All right, okay, so cool. It's got a little wizard here. So let's start the setup wizard. And we choose our optimized resolution. So this is to have a scalable canvas. Now you can do this with just Unity's normal input system. When you add a canvas like the one I have over here, where's my, we'll leave that up there. You can go to Canvas Scaler and you can just say scale with screen size and you just choose your reference resolution. I usually go 1920 by 1080 because that's standard computer screen resolution. But if you're gonna be working on mobile devices, you might want to try a mobile device resolution to check on. And then I just keep it by default on the screen match mode. That's kind of what it's doing here. Is it's having you choose your solution, your resolution. And it's nice that they have full click buttons for full HD or ultra high definition, but we're just gonna go back to 1920, 1080. Let's continue and see what this does for us. Okay, so it's installed. You can install assembly definition files for better UI here. If you don't know what this is, you most likely don't want to install it. Fair enough. Okay. So here's where we can install the example scene. So an overview is the oldest example scene. It shows the most relevant features and divided into categories. A little typo there. Ghost, this example shows some animation features as well as movable mask, where the mask sprite in the hierarchy below stays a certain position. This is achieved using anchor overrides. Resolution tracking shows real-time detection of screen sizes. I don't know, let's just look at the overview. We'll install that, install the selected sample scenes. All right, so I paused the recording for a bit. I'm still waiting on it to install. It's still telling me to wait. I don't know what I'm waiting for. Yeah, I imagine it's accessing a package. But yeah, I'm not getting anything. So I'm just gonna close that. Let's go into the project. Here's some how-to examples. So maybe it installed but didn't go away. Nope, that is the wrong asset. What are we in? Terabytes? There we go. Better UI. Example. Overview. So it looks like it installed. It just didn't. It didn't give me an example here. Okay, so here's our example UI. So tab toggles down here. The first example to use toggle transitions. Let's just hit play and see how this rolls. All right, so I don't know what it is about me, but I don't really get UI assets. I don't understand. I mean, I have some UI assets, but this seems so basic. Maybe because I'm not reading into it enough. I mean, the fact that it comes with some transitions is kind of nice, but that's not overly difficult to make yourself. And the problem with these type of assets, whether you're new or whether you're seasoned, you have to learn it. And the time that you're going to be spending learning how this asset works, you could be spending the same time into just using Unity's built-in UI and setting things up how you want. And that way you know how everything works. It makes sense to you because you set it up in a way that makes sense to you. So I can't imagine that I would ever use this asset. So let's move on to the next one. I have a little visitor down here. Hey, baby. She was playing outside, so she's covered in leaves. All right, so what's our next asset then in this big mega? That's $64. I'm sure a lot of great effort was put into it, and there's a lot of cool things, but the time to invest in learning that, I don't know. Feel free to hate me in chat. I actually owned this one previously, so maybe I have a second seat in it now, but it's EnhancedScroller. I don't know why I got it before. I don't know if it was included in a Humble Bundle or something. But let's see the details on EnhancedScroller. So it uses Unity UI, and it allows you to recycle items and move them down. It handles multiple item sizes. That's kind of nice for like scroll views. Stop clicking the button, sweetheart. That's kind of nice. Multiple items, like dynamically data driven. Grows with the scroll area. Optional infinite loops. Let's see. No documentation. There it is. Yeah, docs. Let's see how the documentation looks. User manual. Oh, let's go to quick start. Oh, it's a downloaded file. Okay, we'll save that. We'll open it. All right, so new scene, UI, create canvas, create empty, call your scroller, game object scroller for this tutorial. Oh man, it's just gonna walk you through step by step. So we can add the component to the scroller, EnhancedScroller. All right, so now I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna import it and see what the demo scene looks like. All right, so here are the different demos. Lots of different demos. So that's really nice. I'm gonna check out the simple demo here. Let's not save that scene. All right, let's play. So let's just see how this works. All right, so one thing that is cool is how it can support multiple button sizes. And those aren't really buttons, but that's nice that the scroll view can handle that. Click the load large data button to pull in a large data set for the scroller. Okay, so there's a large data set. Wow, 999. Okay, load small data. Okay, great. Return to main menu. Doesn't really do anything. All right. Let's check out one of their other demo scenes. So let's see what this canvas looks like first. So here's the scroller and here's the placeholder. Okay, but the scroller doesn't have, let's move this down. The scroller doesn't have that component on it. There we go, EnhancedScroller. So in the EnhancedScroller script, you can choose the direction, the padding, loop while dragging, max velocity. Got a lot of options here. I don't see how it's able to choose item sizes unless that's the items you choose the item size. So let's go to the scroll bar, sliding area. That's just the scroll bar. There's the explanation, the controls. So what's this panel here? What is, let's go back to, I don't know, click on canvas, F to focus. What's this thing? Go to 2D. What is this thing? That is the scroller. Okay, so that has scroll rect, but there's currently no info in it. So it's loading info from this button. It's loading components from that button. And you can put spacing between the items. And I guess what this is probably doing is it's auto expanding the scroll view, which is nice. That in of itself could make it worth taking a look at this asset, because one thing that's really annoying about, so what is this, $25 asset? One thing there's a lot of features in it, but I'm just going to highlight this one, is if I were to just create a normal scroll view. All right, so here we have a canvas. Let's just disable all these other things. Just disable all those. All right, so if I go to the canvas and I just create a new UI scroll view, hope you enjoy this free background music by this floating head here. I don't know, let's make the scroll view as big as the canvas. Okay, which, oh, my canvas is pretty small right now because of the size of my window. But if I go into my scroll view, I can go to my viewport, I can go to content, and in my content, I can do a content size fitter, and then I can do I think min size usually on vertical fit. So if I come in here now into my content and I create a bunch of buttons, right? So I'll just do a button here. Sure, import TextMesh Pro Essentials. All right, and so there's my button. But what I also want in my content is I want a vertical layout group. I'm not sure if both will work very well together. Let's middle center everything. All right, and let's not child force expand the height or the width. So this is just the button, and I can make the button however I want. There's no limit to how I want my button size to be. So let's say that's my button, and then on my content, I want a little bit of spacing. Let's put like spacing of, my numlock's not on. Let's put a spacing of 10 between everything. So now if I add a button, okay, I can add as many buttons as I want. But let's say I'm adding buttons at runtime. If I add a button at runtime, like right now, if I go to content, because of this content size fitter, it's automatically adjusting the size of the content. See, now if I come to content, it's much bigger because it's adjusting itself based on the items that are inside it. But if I go hit play now, okay, so all my buttons are over there, right? I can scroll. Okay, there's all my buttons. But if I now add more buttons, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's a lot of buttons there. If I go to my content, well, interesting. I wonder if Unity's done an update, because now my content size fitter has automatically adjusted. In past projects when I've messed with this, I had to run an FSM to disable the content size fitter, and then to disable the content size fitter, and then re-enable it, and then that would adjust the size. But now it just seems to be working on its own. So that's interesting. All right, so I don't really have too much to say about the enhanced scroller. Let's look at another scene. I mean, a grid simulation. Let's not save that. All right, let's play this. Let's see what it's got for us here. All right, so here we have a demo. This example shows how to simulate a grid in the enhanced scroller. There you go, baby. This is not an actual grid of separate elements, but a scroll list of rows that contains subviews for each data item. The grid total row data. Okay. But again, I don't get it, because I can do that with regular Unity UI. And I'll show you how. So I'll just steal this canvas and I'll disable everything inside it. And then in this canvas, I will create a let's just create I guess I can just put the buttons right on here. So let's do that. Let's just do it again. Let's do UI. Let's just do a TextMesh Pro button. Okay. And then on my canvas, which normally I would do this on a panel, just that's my preference. I can go to add component, and I can do a grid layout group, and it resized my button. But I can still make adjustments. I can choose how big I want my cells to be. So if I want my cells to be a bit wider, I can do that. So let's say we want a 200 width button or whatever's in there, but let's say we want this to be 50. Okay, could there be my button? I can choose my spacing between cells. So I can go, let's just get a bunch of different buttons here. Okay, so here's my canvas. I can choose how much spacing I want between cells. Now the buttons are kind of rounded, so there's already a little bit of padding between them just because that's the way the buttons are. Or maybe there's already padding built into it. Nope. But I can put a little bit of spacing on my X. See, it's going to space the rows there. I can put some spacings on my Ys. All right, and the padding is going to be for like the whole group. So if I want on the left-hand side for there to be a little bit of padding, I can do it like that. I can do it on the bottom, which there's nothing down there. I can do it on the top, right? Um, yeah, it's you can do a lot of cool stuff. You can say where you want it to start. So I could say I want it to start in the middle. There we go, child, middle, center. I can choose where I want my constraint to be. So right now it's flexible, but let's say I want only 2 columns. Maybe I want 4 columns. Now it overlaps a bit there, so I might need to adjust my cell size. So who knows? Maybe this scroller, maybe it can dynamically determine automatically what the sizes should be based on how many I want in the columns. But somehow I doubt that. I totally jacked something up. Oh, because I have a grid layout group on here now. All right, but put in the comments if you can see the benefit of this, because I feel like it's already built into Unity, and so I wouldn't use that. So let's see what the next tool is. And I had it before because I thought I needed it, but again, Unity, I think, steals its ideas from other content developers and they incorporate it into themselves. Here's one I'm excited to check out: the Endless Runner Engine. View full details here. And key features: path generation, automatic mesh and object extrusion, multi-threading, object pooling. Nice. Works on mobile, 3D and 2D, easy and straightforward, offers built-in logic, open source, level streaming feature for bigger projects. Let's check out the documentation. And one of the reasons I like to look at the documentation, because a lot of times you don't need Playmaker actions. So if you're using Playmaker, you usually have actions for things you want to do. Most assets in the asset store, this is pretty detailed, don't have Playmaker actions, but a lot of times you can just set properties and components from their assets yourself. You don't really need actions, but other times you need to call certain things and it's better to have actions. Plus it's easier to tell what you're doing. So if they have like their API well documented with like example code, you can create, oh my goodness, you can create your own, like here we go. There are 2 main commands for the level generator. So like we could create an action off of some of these here. Okay, so here we're getting into the basic API use. So this is where you would go if you want to create some custom actions for it. But let's pause the recording. I'll import this asset and we'll take a look at it. All right, so they have a very detailed documentation. I think most of it looks like you're not going to need to do any scripting or anything. So the answer to the question of can I use this as Playmaker? Probably. But I'm going to watch some of their YouTube videos real quick. Because they did have an API and calling things like start level and end level and stuff like that. But I'm almost wondering if by default you can choose those settings in the inspector. So I'm going to watch these videos real quick and then I'll report back to you. All right, so I just got done watching the first video of the tutorial of Forever Endless Render Machine, and that whole mega bundle is $45 to get everything, and this is normally $50. It's worth it. You get the mega bundle. You get the mega bundle just for this, and you've saved $5, and it's totally worth it. As far as needing Playmaker for it, I'm sure there could be some uses for it, but after watching it all, I mean, you can just come in here and let's install some examples. All right, so this is a 2D sample, and all we have on our scene right now is there's the level generator, and inside the level generator parent, there's just the character, and what's all you got on them? The projected player component is what tells the level generator to add more pieces to the level. So if we look at the level generator, it's got a maximum segments of 3. And so I think that means there's only going to be 3 different level segments displayed at a time. And so you have to create the level segments, obviously, for your world. And then you put components on it so that the level generator knows what the segments are. And it can even do some extrusion and rotation and shaping to where it can make it to where it's not super rigid and it can actually make it flow. Now, with a 2D platformer like this, if I hit play, I mean, everything's, square, rectangular, and there's probably no extrusion and stuff happening. But there's the player, and as you can see, it started generating some stuff. And I'm not sure if there's actually any controls to this player. Like, yeah, we can control him. But if we take him and let's move him, I need this guy. If we take him up, because he's got a projected player component on him, and if we move him here, Let's see what happens. There we go. And you can see more level generated. So this is a pretty sweet tool. And to make this happen that you see on the screen, you don't need to do any scripting at all. So can you use it with Playmaker? Sure, because you don't necessarily need to do any scripting to make any of this level generation work. So this asset in of itself, if you have any interest in doing any type of endless runner, free runner, endless or looped world generation, or even just randomly generated procedural generation of a world, you can totally do that with this asset. Normally $50 for just this asset, but part of the mega bundle where you get all those assets and this one for 45 bucks. So this is a definite reason to pick up this bundle for sure. All right, let's go ahead and start breaking this up. We'll stop this episode here and then I'll start recording another one and we'll see how long it takes us to get through all the different assets in this new 95% off mega bundle and see what assets can and might not work for you. But don't just take my opinion on it just because I don't like an asset, don't think it's worth it. I mean, obviously the mega bundle is already worth it based on this asset, but maybe you'll find another asset that maybe I didn't see use for, but solves a big problem for you. So stay tuned as we take a look at a few more assets in the next episode.